that's why these things are so important to talk about, because people see things, and the better education you have, I always say the better education you have, the better questions you can ask. And then as you ask better questions, it turns into better behaviors, right? Because your knowledge gets refined. But these are all important questions to ask. Any other questions?
I want to go back to the sugar part. I'm going to give you an example. I don't know if it's as simple as this is what you're saying about not eating things with added sugar. So if I'm looking at something, I'm making it up obviously, and it has 5 sugars, 5 grams of sugar total. 4 of them are added sugars. It's not like a whole lot of sugar, but it's that.
Yeah.
In theory,
I literally aim, my goal is to aim for 0 grams of added sugar a day. A realistic goal for most people is about, about 20 to 25 grams of added sugar a day or less. Right now, we eat about 105 as a society, about 105 grams of added sugar a day. So realistically, if you can get it down to 20 to 25, I say try to be 0, because if you try to be 0, you're probably going to be 20 to 25 a day. I'm not, just because people eat out, they do this, they have that, I'm going to pick at this, and you don't realize what they're putting in your mouth. But if the foods that you buy, you aim for 0, and it's really not that hard, believe it or not, it really isn't, then you'll notice that you tend to fall well short of that 20 to 25 grams a day. But that's a great question. The other thing here that I guess I should mention, sort of like part of the core tenets that we talk about in the UTC, you guys obviously hear me talk about sugar, but you also hear me talk about alcohol. Guys, everybody, alcohol is a sugar. And more importantly, it's ethanol. And when we talk about calories, it's funny, I literally had to explain this, of course, to a Russian, because they couldn't fathom, wait a minute, how does my vodka have calories? Okay, because it's the ethanol, which is a sugar. It does not obey the same laws so sugar's a carbohydrate, right? So we know carbs are 4 calories per gram, and protein is 4 calories per gram, and fat is 9 calories per gram. Alcohol is 7. So that means, if you do the math, if you look at, how much alcohol am I consuming, and if you break it down by grams and, the ounces into grams, blah, 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 a shot glass, which an ounce and a half is a shot glass, is like 140, 150 calories. And it's all empty calories, and that starts to become the problem as well. Let me discuss that very quickly. If people say, I must have this, and I must have that, I can't have breakfast without this, I can't have lunch without that, all these things, whether it's sugar in my coffee, whether it's a shot of alcohol at night, whatever those quote-unquote empty calories are, they add on fast. So if you're having 500 calories, which isn't a lot, of just shitty food that you shouldn't be eating, how many calories do you have left to get the assigned macronutrients, just the amount of protein that you need? Now, again, Dr. Stuart Phillips is the doctor. His lab does more work than anybody else in the world on protein consumption. And his main takeaway is you're all under eating protein, especially the older you get. You need to eat more of it. You need to eat more. Not just because it's more satiating, just from a general health perspective. Your body is literally made of proteins, and it needs to be replaced. Okay, so at the end of the day, alcohol has a lot of these calories. But then, how are you going to get the macronutrients and the micronutrients in your diet if you've already spent 500 on shit? Now you only have, let's just say, 2,000 left to get everything else that you need without gaining weight. This is why, and this is the value of understanding what you're eating and whether or not you need to supplement with certain things, because most of us are deficient in a great many things because of the diets that we eat, all right? Especially things like magnesium. And we can talk about other things that you might be deficient in depending on your diet. If you don't eat fish, you're likely deficient in iodine, which is, guys, when you look at your blood work and you look at thyroid and it says T3, T4, those T3, T4 molecules, do you know what they are? They're iodine molecules. They're iodine molecules assigned to your thyroid. So if you don't, and if you want, so if you want to crash your thyroid, which is one of the things in this black box that helps you, literally, it's your body's thermostat. Okay, I assure you that a lower thyroid maps onto higher weight gain over time. Because if I bring your core body temperature down by 2 degrees over the course of a day, it's not a big deal, but over the course of the year it is, and over the course of 10 years, it's a really big deal. So you start saying, where did these 15 pounds come from? And when you look at, and not to go on a tangent here, but especially women, certain diseases that attack the thyroid, women are especially prone to. And there are many different reasons why that is, but I assure you that one of the ways to mitigate this problem is making sure that you get enough iodine. That's why, has anybody ever wondered, why is salt iodized? And why is it a law that when it's not, it must say not iodized? Because we recognized certain things back in the 1920s to mitigate certain diseases just by giving people iodine. So we realized people weren't getting enough iodine in their food. So these are very simple things. So if you or your child doesn't have seafood and you think Himalayan salt is really good for you, which I'm not saying it isn't, you're not having any iodine in your diet. So you are literally by design crashing the family's thyroid because you're not eating the seafood and getting in it. Again, you wouldn't know unless you learned, unless you understood. This is the point of asking questions like